Hi students, welcome to the last part of this lesson, Sectors of the Indian Economy, that is chapter 2 from class 10 Economics. Please like and subscribe for further notifications. And post your queries in the comment box, definitely I'll get back to you. In this video, we are going to discuss about organized and unorganized sector, public and private sector, and why it is necessary for the government to spend a lot on wide range of activities. What is Niti Aayog? National Institute for Transforming India. And what is the basic difference between Planning Commission and Niti Aayog? Actually, in the Planning Commission, the role of states and union territories was very limited. Actually, they had to interact with the Planning Commission to get their annual plan approved. They had very limited role. But since Niti Aayog has all the chief minister of states and administrators of the union territories in its governing council, it is playing a greater role. Actually, Niti Aayog just evaluates the implementation of the programs. Now, in the same page number 29, we are going to discuss about Mahatma Gandhi Narega program. National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, NAREGA. And the question we can expect related with that, why do you think NAREGA 2005 is referred to as right to work? The central government in India made a law implementing the right to work in about 625 districts in India, which is called Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005. Under MNREGA 2005, all those who are able to and are in need of work in rural areas are guaranteed 100 days of employment in a year by the government. If the government fails in its duty to provide employment, it will give unemployment allowances to the people. That is why it is also known as right to work. The next subtopic is division of sectors as organized and unorganized. We can find in page number 30. Actually, a small story of a lady, Kanta, who works in an office, and a guy, Kamal, who works as a daily wage laborer in a shop is given. And the kind of working condition faced by both the people are completely different. On that basis, we can distinguish the features or characteristics of the organized and unorganized sector. Actually, see the story. Here, the Kanta who works in office have though comparatively a comfortable life, working life, because of being its formal nature. There is a prescribed number of hours. There is a security of job, and the payment is high. The wages and salary is high, and there is a overtime provision is there, medical facilities are there, transport allowance is there, the social security benefit like gratuity and pensions, these kind of facilities are there. But just opposite the other guy, Kamal, you see his working condition. Actually, it is being an unorganized sector. He is underpaid. The salary is wages very less, and because it is not registered, with the government, there are no certain rules and regulations to be followed. The employment is not secure, and he is expected to work longer hours. This is the working nature faced by these people. Now, see the differences. The first point is, how can we define the organized sector? That is a basis point. Organized sectors are registered by the government and have to follow its rules and regulations which are given in various laws such as Factory Act, Minimum Wages Act, Payment of Gratuity Act, Shops and Establishment Act, etc. But unorganized sector is characterized by small and scattered units which are largely outside the control of the government. Second point, under organized sector, there are formal processes and procedures. they should follow the rules and regulations. But in unorganized sector, there are rules and regulations, but these are not followed. Point number 3, workers in organized sector enjoy the security of their employment. But under unorganized sector, no secured job, there is no security of employment. People can be asked to leave without any reason at any time. And uh, the people, those who are working in organized sector, are expected to work only a prescribed working hours. If they work more, they have to be paid overtime by the employer. But under unorganized sector, people are expected to work for longer hours. There is no provision of overtime. In organized sector, people get paid leave, payment during holidays, provident fund. These are the other social security benefits the employer provides to the employees. Provident fund, gratuity, medical benefits, and insurance. And at the same time, even the working environment, sound and good working environment, like good drinking water, the safe working conditions. But at the same time, under unorganized sector, there is no provision of overtime and very less wages, and no paid holidays or no paid leave, and even the jobs are not regular. The next point is, what kind of people work under these sectors, organized and unorganized. Under organized sector, some of the people may not be employed by anyone but may work on their own, but they too have to register themselves with the government and follow the rules and regulations. But under unorganized sector, this sector includes a large number of people who are employed on their own doing small jobs such as selling on the street or doing repair work. And similarly, farmers work on their own and hire laborers as and when they require. Next, we are moving to page number 32, how to protect workers in the unorganized sector. Why there are more workers under unorganized sector, or why there is a need to protect the workers under unorganized sectors? Actually, the employment opportunities in the organized sector have been expanding very slowly. And second point is, we will find many organized sector enterprises in the unorganized sector. That means they will find out loopholes, or they will follow such strategies to evade the taxes, that is to avoid paying taxes, or to refuse to follow the rules and regulations given by the government to protect the laborers. So as a result, a large number of workers are forced to enter into unorganized jobs, because the working atmosphere is no different from unorganized to organized. The people, though they are working in the organized sector, they get very low salary. And it is very common to see a large number of workers losing their jobs in the organized sectors. So they are forced to take up the jobs in the unorganized sector with a very, very low wage or salary. So besides the need of more work, there is a need for protection of workers, those who are working in the unorganized sector. Who are the vulnerable people who need protection, and how can they be protected? So here, we can divide the concept into rural area and urban areas, and the kind of people in rural area and how can they be protected, and the vulnerable people in urban area and how can they be protected. In the rural area, the unorganized sector mostly comprises of landless agriculture laborers, small and marginal farmers, sharecroppers and artisans such as weavers, blacksmiths, carpenters and goldsmiths. This is the kind of people, the workers. Second, how can they be protected? Nearly 80% of the rural household in India is from small and marginal farmer category. So these farmers need to be supported through adequate facility for timely delivery of seeds, agricultural inputs, agricultural loans, storage facilities, marketing outlets by provision of all these things. Second part, in the urban areas, unorganized sector comprises mainly of the workers in the small scale industry, casual workers in the construction, trade and transport, and those who are working as street vendors, headload workers, garment makers, rack pickers, and the personalized service, the people, those who provide the personalized services, etc. So small scale industry also needs government support for procuring raw material and marketing of output. The casual workers in both rural and urban area need to be protected. Point 3. The majority of the workers from scheduled caste and tribes and backward communities find themselves in the unorganized sectors. Besides getting irregular and low paid work, these people face discrimination also, social discrimination. So protection and support to the unorganized sector workers is necessary for the socio and economic development of a country. On page number 33, we can find the next subtopic, sectors in terms of ownership, that is public and private sectors. Another way of classifying the economic activities or another way of classifying the sectors is on the basis of the ownership. Who owns the asset and who is responsible for the delivery of services. On these points, on the basis of these points, we can classify the sectors as public and private sectors. Now, how we can distinguish this public and private sector? In the public sector, the government owns most of the assets and provides all the services. But in the private sector, ownership of assets and delivery of services is in the hands of the private individuals or the private companies. The example for public sector, we can say railways or post office. But for the private sector, we can say Tisco, Reliance Industries Limited. The main motive of public sector is not only the profit, but social welfare too. But the basic motive of private sector is to earn profits. Public sector is owned, controlled and financed by government. But the private sector is owned, controlled and financed by private individuals. Modern day governments spend on whole range of activities. What are these activities? Why do governments spend on such activities? Actually, there are several facilities needed by the society which cannot be provided by the private sector because of the huge investment. For example, construction of roads, bridges, railways, harbors, generating electricity, irrigation facilities by constructing dams, which needs huge investment, which is not possible by the private sector to invest such huge sum. So, government takes the responsibility of providing these services. Second point, there are some activities which needs the government support. The private sector cannot continue their production unless the government encourages it. For example, selling subsidized LPG cylinders, electricity, or even fertilizer as a subsidy to the farmers. For example, selling electricity at the cost of production or at the cost of generation to the industries will increase the cost of production of its products. So here the government steps in by producing and supplying the electricity at a lesser rate, what the industries can afford. So here, who is bearing the cost? The government is bearing the cost. The same way, how it helps the farmers and the consumers, you must have heard about minimum support price, procurement price. Government in India buys wheat and rice from the farmers at a fair price, minimum support price, and it stores it in godowns and sells at a lower price to the consumer through ration shops, public distribution system. So here government has to bear some of the cost. So it supports both the consumers and the farmers. And the last point is there are certain number of activities which is the primary responsibility of the government. For example, provision of health and education, because these are merit goods. Every citizen of the country must possess it. This is the end of chapter 2. Soon I'll get back to you with the revision questions for this chapter. Thank you.